Well, any thoughts I might have had that this title wouldn't be number one were pretty much wrong as I expected. Hello everybody and welcome to another weekly countdown of the top 10 best-selling light novels in Japan. This covering November 19th to the 25th of 2018. I'm Justus Stone, and on this channel I cover all things light novels, news, reviews, countdowns like this. So if you love light novels or maybe you're just starting to get into them, you should consider subscribing. So quite a number of shifts on the list this week. In fact, only 2 titles managed to survive from last week's list, and we've got at least one title that probably is benefiting a great deal from its recent anime, so let's get right into it. At number 10, with 5,026 copies sold, volume number 1 of Seishun Buta Yarou series, or as it's currently being released in the anime, Rascal Does Not Dream of Bunny Girl Senpai. This one, as I said, there is an anime currently airing, which seems to be doing very well, particularly the fact that it's brought the volume 1 back into the top 10. And actually this series is complete in Japan with 7 volumes. So it's actually been, this volume 1 is a little bit old actually. So definitely the anime playing a big part in bringing this one back into the popular sphere. Now the anime is going to cover the first 5 volumes of this series, and then they're doing a movie in the new year, and it's going to cover the final volumes of 6 and 7. So if you're watching the anime and it kind of just ends, don't worry, they are actually going to finish out the series in anime format. We still have not heard any word on anybody licensing this title. In fact, I'm kind of concerned because with the anime being so popular, I'm kind of concerned that this one's going to be stupid expensive and nobody is going to license it at this point. This one, Puberty Syndrome, abnormal experiences rumored on the internet to be caused by sensitivity and instability during adolescence. This year, Sakuta Azusagawa, a second-year student at a high school near Enoshima, meets several girls that are experiencing this puberty syndrome. For instance, he meets a wild bunny girl in the library. She turns out to be an actress on hiatus, Mai Sakurajima, who is also his senior at the school. For some reason, no one else can see this enchanting girl. How did she become invisible? As Sakuta searches for answers to help Mai, they spend more time together, and he eventually learns of her hidden feelings. This is an unusual story that takes place in a town of bright skies and glistening seas, where Sakuta encounters various intriguing girls. So like I said, obviously the anime currently ongoing. You can watch it on Crunchyroll, getting a lot of very positive hype, at least based on what I see popping up in my Twitter feed all over the place. And as I said, you know, it's been popular enough in Japan that the first volume has entered back into the top 10. If you've looked at the extended list that they have on my anime list, this actually has been hovering really close to the top 10. It's been in the top 15 at least for a couple of weeks. So not too shocking to see this one crack right back into the top 10 again. At number 9, with 5,373 copies sold, volume number 13 of The New Gate. We do not have an English license for this series. The New Gate, an online game that trapped its players and turned into a death game, was now releasing the thousands of players that had been dragged into it, thanks to the efforts of Shin, one of the most powerful players. But after having defeated the last boss and freed everyone, he was swallowed up by a strange light and found himself inside the game world 500 years in the future and unable to leave. So this one sounds like it's kind of taking the whole Sword Art Online story, like the whole trapped into a death game thing, and then turning it into an isekai and having the character arrive in the world 500 years after whatever he did to free everybody. In a way, I find this kind of a very interesting setup, because you have to think that if he was a powerful player who was powerful enough to free everybody from that situation, if that was a real world or became a real world, that would be some pretty significant historical event. And now he's 500 years in the future. I don't know. I don't know how this one works. I don't know whether it's still considered to be a game or whether, like I said, it is literally combining the whole isekai thing, or maybe the whole game setup was just a ruse and it was always an isekai. I have no idea, but I gotta admit, I'm a little bit curious to find out. At number 8, with 5,465 copies sold, Kidou Senshi Gundam NT. This one, no English license for this. Now, this is kind of a, if I'm getting this all right, this is a weird situation. So, there was a light novel series that was a Gundam light novel series. That was Gundam Unicorn. Then, Gundam Unicorn was made into an anime. That finished. Now, just in November, there opened a Gundam Unicorn film, which was this one, Kidou Senshi Gundam NT. Now, this, apparently, the plotline is somewhat based on the 11th volume of the Gundam Unicorn light novel series. This light novel is now an adaptation of that film that was an adaptation of a light novel. Okay, I think I got that right, but I'm not too sure. The storyline of the film, which I am guessing is the same as the storyline of the light novel, UC0096, the conflict dubbed the Laplace Incident, ended with the dissolution of the Neo-Zeon remnant group, the Sleeves. Both the Unicorn Gundam and the Banshee were sealed away, never to be seen again. With the original draft of the Universal Century Charter revealed, the existence of new types and their promised rights have become known to the public. 1 year later, in UC0097, the world is still largely unchanged. Having thought to be lost 2 years ago, the Unicorn Gundam 03 Phoenix suddenly reappears. In an effort to capture the rogue mobile suit, the Federation and Neo-Zeon decide to collaborate in a capture operation known as Phoenix Hunt. So, this sounds kind of interesting. You know what, I'll admit it. As much as I have watched a number of mecha anime, I never really got into Gundam. I watched most of Gundam Wing back in the day, because that was really actually quite popular and even aired on TV for the English dub of it. So I did watch some of that, but this one I guess is based more on an older series of Gundam, because I believe the Unicorn light novels started a while ago. Again, I'm not exactly 100% clear on the history of Gundam and its various timelines and which is based on what and everything else. But I do know that, as I said, when looking at this, apparently I guess this one, it is based on the light novel series, and this now is a light novel based on the adaptation of the light novel. At number 7, with 8,026 copies sold, the one of two survivors of last week, Volume 15 of Konosuba Sekai ni Shukufuku wo, or as we have it in English, Konosuba, God's Blessing on This Wonderful World. Again, we do have this one licensed for English release by Yen On. They're releasing the 7th volume December 11th of 2018. There was a 22-episode anime series which covered volumes 1 to 4, and in 2019 we're getting a feature film which all things seem to point that it is based on volume number 5. And of course this is the series of Kazuma, who is sent to another world after dying in our world, and when he's offered that he can take any one thing with him, he chooses to take the goddess who is talking to him with him to the other world. Well, it could have, it's probably a mistake to do that. I mean, yeah, the goddess Aqua gets into a lot of trouble and isn't always useful. I won't say she's never useful though. But, and basically it follows Kazuma as he travels through this world, encountering odd and strange people and pretty much never failing to get in trouble. At number 6, with 8,607 copies sold, Volume 17 of Towaru Osan no VR MMO Katsudoki, or A Certain Middle-Aged Man's VR MMO Activity Log. We do not have a license for this in English. 38-year-old Tanaka Daiichi's childhood dream of playing a VR MMO has finally come to life. As he creates his character, he decides to choose skills that are considered useless by others, since he has no interest in playing like a main character. Follow the adventures of Daiichi as he strives to use his mismatched set of worthless skills to achieve his dream goal of simply being able to enjoy an alternate life in a virtual reality. Now this one on the list quite often, actually. It's quite a popular series from everything I can see in terms of sales. And talking to a few of you the last time this was on the list, it seems like this is a little bit misleading when it's talking about useless skills and stuff like that. It makes this guy sound like he was just a total derp when he was choosing out his loadout, but it sounds more like he chose skills that were mainly aimed at being able to just live in the world, like cooking and that kind of stuff. Whereas a lot of people who came into the world were like, what are the skills that are going to boost my level really fast? What are the skills that are going to get me hero status and everything else? And so it isn't that his skills are useless per se, it's just that they weren't the hot ticket items right out of the gate because people wanted to play a certain way. But because his play style was just to kind of live in this other world, he chose skills that weren't necessarily as popular right away. Although at least one of you was saying that it turns out that as the game has progressed and as he goes through the game, those skills turn out to be a little bit more useful than what maybe those heady I want to be a hero types might have thought in the very beginning. You know what? I don't know. I mean, it sounds to me like this is a really just laid back kind of thing, but when you see covers like this one where it's like, it looks like he's facing down a demon lord, I'm kind of wondering just how chill his VR MMO life really is. At number 5, with 12,584 copies sold, Volume 5 of Kame Tachi ni Hirawareta Otoko, or The Man Picked Up by the Gods. We do not have an English license for this light novel series. Takebayashi Ryoma, a 39-year-old man with a hidden past, found himself in a strange white room. The gods tell him that he has died and that they are sending his soul to a different world, a world where magic exists. After living alone for 3 years, his gamer soul loses its common sense and starts along crazy routes. Now, this one's been on the list before, and I don't think we really talked that much about it. It strikes me like this, I think, is a slightly different synopsis than the ones I've seen before. But it does strike me kind of that it sounds almost like he was sent to this world being OP and that he was just going to kind of chill out and live quietly, but then after a couple of years he gets kind of stir crazy and then decides to tear it up in this new world. I don't know if that's accurate, but there's kind of a part of me that almost hopes to see that in a light novel. Like, you know, we have characters that are OP, obviously. Obviously, I mean, it's like a trope at this point. But often we don't really see those characters really flaunting it or going crazy with it. Often they hide it. Often they act reserved. Often they only bring out those abilities when they're absolutely forced to. There's kind of a part of me that just wants to, like, see an OP character just raise some stink across the landscape and just, you know, not give a dang about what he decides to do. I don't think you could probably pull it off for a really long series, but it would be kind of fun for at least a volume or two. I don't know if this, and again, I don't know if this is that title, but I'm curious to know, so if you know anything more about this one, let me know in the comments down below. At number 4, with 16,455 copies sold, Volume 27 of Mahoka Koko no Reitose, or The Irregular at Magic High School. This, of course, the second title from last week that managed to survive. It was actually number 1 for the last 2 weeks. This one is licensed by Yen On. They're releasing volume 10 on December 18th of 2018. Of course, there was 26 episode anime, which covered volumes 1 to 7, though excluded volume 5. It's available on Crunchyroll. This one about a world where magic has become a form of technology, and it focuses on a brother and sister who attend one of the top-ranked magic schools in Japan. The sister is seen as a protege. The brother is seen as a, well, an irregular. That's kind of where the whole thing, but anyway, he's seen as a lower achiever. He's actually put into the low achieving class, even though, well, I mean, we kind of know how anime is going to turn out, right? Like in light novels or manga and all the rest of that. We kind of know that he's not really as low achieving as what everybody thinks that he is. At number 3, with 17,980 copies sold, Volume 2 of Sinai Heroine no Sodate Kata FD. This one is actually a spin-off of the series Sakeno, How to Raise a Boring Girlfriend, which is complete, like the main series is complete in Japan at 13 volumes. Has been complete for a little while, I think, over a year, I think now. And this one, it seems like these are short stories set within the timeline of the story. The actual original series, Tomoya Aki, an otaku who has been obsessed with collecting anime and light novels for years, attaching himself to various series with captivating stories and characters. Now, he wants to have a chance of providing the same experience for others by creating his own game, but unfortunately, Tomoya cannot do this task by himself. He successfully recruits childhood friend Eriri Spencer Sawamura to illustrate, and literary elitist Utaha Kasumigaoka to write the script for his visual novel while he directs. Supergroup now in hand, Tomoya only needs an inspiration to base his project on, and luckily meets the beautiful, docile Megumi Kato, who he then models his main character after. Using what knowledge he has, Tomoya creates a new doujin circle with hopes to touch the hearts of those who play their game. What he does not realize is that to invoke these emotions, the creators have had to experience the same feelings in their own lives. So we don't have this licensed in English, not even the original series. There was the original manga spin-off. There's been a couple of different manga spin-offs, but the one that was the original manga spin-off of the series, or was based on the light novel series, we did get in English from Yen Press. It's currently complete at 8 volumes. There was also a 25-episode anime, which aired January 2015, and it was 2 cores, and they were broken up over by a couple of months. It ended on June 2017, and there is supposedly a film coming out in 2019, and I don't know if the film is going to be sort of a standalone story or if it's going to be based on any of the other light novel material. It was kind of hard to find that information. If you have any idea about that, I'd love to hear your comments down below. At number 2, with 19,360 copies sold, Volume 13 of Rokudenashi Majutsu Koshi to Akashic Records, or as we have had some elements of it released in English, Akashic Records of the Bastard Magical Instructor. There's no English license for the light novels. The manga is licensed for English release by 7 Seas. They released Volume 5 just in November of 2018. There is a 12-episode anime adaptation which covered the first 5 volumes of the series, and it's licensed in North America by Funimation. Sisti attends a magical academy to hone her skills in the magical arts and hopes to solve the mystery of the enigmatic Sky Castle. After the retirement of her favorite teacher, the replacement, Glenn, turns out to be a tardy, lazy, seemingly incompetent bastard of an instructor. How was it that Glenn was hand-picked by the best magician in the academy? So this one, a Magic Battle Academy series that, again, yeah, we don't have licensed in English, which I kind of find, I guess, a little strange, given that we do have the manga and the anime came out, but Well, we haven't had this one. Although, interestingly enough, Yen On has just announced that they're going to be licensing a brand new series that's by the same author. And I should have looked that one up specifically because I can't remember the title. Something like Arthur, or I don't remember. It's a retelling of the Arthurian legend, basically. And it has artwork by the artist of the Index series. So kind of a fairly decent pedigree, and that one's only coming out with its second volume in Japan, so it's a brand new series. So, I mean, people are licensing this guy's work, but nobody's picked up this one yet. I don't know if it's even any good. I don't know whether I should be upset about that. If you have any thoughts about that, I'd love to hear about them in the comments down below. Finally, at number 1, and bear in mind, number 2 had 19,360 copies sold. Volume number at the number 1 spot with 92,404 copies sold. Volume 13 of Yahari Ore no Seishun Love Comedy wa Machigateru. Or as we have it in English, my youth romantic comedy is wrong as I expected. This one is being released in English by Yen On. They are going to be releasing Volume 7 in February of 2019. There are currently 6 volumes available. There's also a 26-episode anime of this series, which covered up to Volume 11. Now, this is the second last volume of this series. Volume 14 has been declared to be the ending of this series, which could explain partly why the sales figure is so massive, but I think it's also just because it's a ridiculously popular series, and if memory serves, it's been, I think, almost a year since Volume 12 came out, so it's been a long wait, but supposedly, now I don't know if this has changed, but I do know that they had said initially that Volume 13 and 14 were going to be released close together. Now, what is close when, you know, but as far as I understand it, it was, if initially it was 13 was going to be the last one, but it got too long, so it's been split into 2 volumes. That, I saw that somewhere. I don't know if that's true. That could be just a vicious rumor or a hopeful rumor for people who were hoping that, you know, the 14th volume would come along really quick. But I'm pretty sure that I actually saw that on a news channel that 13 and 14 were supposed to be released relatively close together, so we'll see. But yes, this one about Hachiman Hikigaya is a cynic. Youth is a crock, he believes, a sucker's game, an illusion woven from failure and hypocrisy. But when he turns in an essay for a school assignment espousing this view, he's sentenced to work in the Service Club, an organization dedicated to helping students with problems in their lives. How will Hachiman the Cynic cope with a job that requires optimism? It's a really good series, actually. I have fallen behind, and I'm taking heat from a number of you that I've fallen behind, and justifiably so, because we really don't have a lot of slice of life light novels in English, and this is not only one of the few, but probably one of the better slice of life series that's just out there in general. So I got to get back on top of it. Hachiman, you know, the series I think partly is really made because of his character and because of his voice. The series is told in the first person, and it's from his perspective, and man, yeah, he is a very engaging character, and it's funny because he just throws out so many pop references, pop culture references, and well, and literary references, music references, all this kind of stuff, that there's actually a glossary at the back of the English editions that gives you a breakdown of what all of those different things are, because you would have to have a fairly extensive knowledge of not just, you know, anime, but also pop culture in Japan, but that could mean like live action TV, live action movies, music. Yeah, it just goes on and on. It's a really engaging series though, and definitely you can tell there's a massive rabid fan base just waiting to see how this one will come to its final conclusion. In this video, I want to say a special thanks to Mitchell Von Regen, Kyle Block, Ola OJ the Bull, and Yoon for their support on Patreon, as well as the support of all of my patrons that allows me to keep buying books to review on this channel, as well as paying for additional hosting for the Light Novel Podcast so that it can be heard on a number of different platforms so that we can spread the message of just how awesome light novels are as far as possible. So that's your top 10 for November 19th to the 25th of 2018. What do you think? Let me know in the comments. My Youth Romantic Comedy, #1 again next week. Thanks for joining me in this video. I look forward to seeing you guys in the next one. Till then, bye-bye for now.